How many of you have heard this one before? A new game is on the rise. Everyone is playing it. The soundtrack is like raindrops from heaven gently landing on your eardrums. The combat is crunchy and delicious. The story is a simultaneous gut punch and warm embrace. It's everything you could have wanted in a game. And you're brimming with excitement, desperate to share your thoughts about it. You've got to tell someone. You're like that cup of apple juice you poured as a kid and you had to be careful with and kind of... You ask your friend what they think of the game and they reply,
It was alright. What did you just say to me?
One of the most disheartening things in life is when you deeply desire to share with a friend something that means a lot to you, only to be met with one of the following adjectives describing that thing. Mid, overrated, overhyped, mainstream, alright, fine. And as we all know, this often happens because we just all like different things, right? You like shooters more than RPGs unless it's that kind of RPG. I like fighters more than party games unless it's that kind of party game. But what I find fascinating is that friend whose justification for something being mid or uninteresting is because it's too mainstream or too popular. The friend that doesn't like a game or simply refuses to play it because the gaming community has blown too much smoke on it. And there's this person for a lot of media. Maybe you are that friend and don't fully understand why your body starts to reject something as soon as it becomes popular. Were you one of the people that just couldn't get into Elden Ring? Are you the friend that finds Tears of the Kingdom boring? Do you want to play Pow World less and less the more you hear about it? Are you going to stab a bitch if someone tells you to play Outer Wilds again? And furthermore, if these games didn't have the massive following they do and you found them on your own, would your feelings toward them be different? These are the questions I want to answer today. But before that, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor, Opera GX. If you're a fan of the show, you probably know that I do a lot of work with Opera, and this is because I genuinely love this browser. It's everything I could ask for and more as a gamer and a video editor because, for starters, it allows you to dial down how much of your computer's resources it's using. If you want to keep all those tabs open without causing lag or slowing down your video editing, this is the tool for you. And as I'm sure you're all aware, 2024 is almost too much in the way of new blockbuster games right now, but that beautiful GX Corner feature keeps track of all those release dates for you. You can even filter by console if you're tired of being reminded what isn't on PC. That's just a fraction of what the GX Corner compiles for you. And the feature everyone loves, of course, is the GX mods. Step 1, go to the GX store. Step 2, allow your head to spin. We all love character customization in games. This is the character customization for your browser. You want a Dark Souls browser? They've got that. Here's what opening a new tab sounds like. Here's what typing sounds like. Ooh, that's crispy. And the really nice thing is, if you decide you don't want some of these features, you can just toggle them off over here in the sidebar. Super easy, no big deal. Oh, and by the way, Opera GX is totally free. So, now's a good time to say that if you want it, use my link below and download it today. It's right there in the description. Don't be shy. All right now. Thanks to Opera GX as always for supporting the show. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. In his 1965 research, psychologist Robert Zajonc discovered a phenomena that he would name the mere exposure effect. Essentially, the more someone is simply exposed to a stimulus, the more they like it. This is one reason hype around a new game builds so fast. If you're on social media, your exposure to new titles is as high as Rob Van Dam. And this phenomena works because when you recognize something, your mind gives you a little shot of happiness to encourage you to learn more about it. It rewards itself for understanding something that was once unfamiliar. And when that something is a new sexy title that's making the rounds, it's not just a shot of happiness, it's a fucking cascade of good neurotransmitters just making your pupils dilate and your timeline explode. Everyone is discovering new things you can do, sharing those things online, repeatedly exposing others to those things and infecting them with curiosity as well. Retrospectively, this might seem pretty obvious because it is. This just in, people like new stuff. But what isn't so obvious is how this mere exposure effect can work on so many, but somehow have the reverse effect on others. If you track the number of exposures against the amount of liking, for most people it looks something like this. Initially, we see this steep rise where your interest in the thing is skyrocketing, but as your mind begins to firmly grasp it, it starts to flatten out. Elden Ring lore is more interesting on the 3rd time you see it than it is on the 50th. That's normal. But if you're on your 50th exposure to Persona 3 this week from your friends talking about it or seeing it on your timeline, and you were already on the fence about picking it up, it's no longer bolstering its appeal. In fact, what folks in advertising know is that research shows that with even more exposures, not only does this line flatten, it begins to actually go down. More exposure begins to lessen your interest about that thing, which is why if you're in marketing, you're trying to show the average person your product just the right amount of times before it becomes annoying. We're looking at you, Burger King. A 1972 study actually illustrated this using music. Undergraduate students listened to 90-second segments of 5 different rock and roll songs. They listened to each one either 0, 1, 2, 5, or 10 times. Afterwards, they listened to a short segment from the chorus of each one and were asked to rate how much they enjoyed that particular song. Now check the year. This was shortly after mere exposure was conceptualized, so the researchers expected that the more the students heard a tune, the more they'd like it. But in a surprise to no one here who has ever heard the same music on repeat too long, what they actually found was a decrease in liking with increased exposure. Again, this might be obvious. This just in, people also get tired of stuff. The fascinating part, however, is that prior to this study, participants had reported that they liked rock and roll music. It wasn't just some random music becoming annoying, it was something that they liked that started to sour. Not only did overexposure to the music ruin it for them, they even had specific reasons why they didn't like it. The music being too antiquated was one such complaint. And to me, this just screams the same energy of the people online that take a popular game and nitpick it, who try to give us all a reality check. It's almost like the overexposure ruins something they might have otherwise enjoyed and causes this knee-jerk sort of, okay, is it really that good? Is it worth all of this attention? Just because FromSoft developed it makes it a masterpiece? Same thing goes for Kojima. Is he really that special? In fact, Kojima might be to some gamers what Taylor Swift is to women who shop at Target. And I think a lot of this comes with the territory of having a gaming opinion on the internet, right? Things being overhyped is irritating to so many of us because why does it actually bother us so much? Is that game actually overhyped, or is it genuinely deserving of all the attention? Does it really matter in the real world? Where was I going with this? I got stuck here writing this script because I could not find anything scientific about this irritation from something being overhyped or the need to correct that perception. At least anything I hadn't already talked about. But for some reason, my mind wandered to Among Us. Now, Among Us is not a game I've ever trashed online or felt like it was undeserving of the attention it's garnered over the past few years because, confession, I have never played Among Us. Not one time. And I don't like talking about it because I usually get the reaction you're probably giving me right now. What? How? Do you even know what sus is? I'm kind of that friend from the beginning about that game. I have never really been interested in playing it for whatever reason, even though I don't harbor any ill will toward it. But I do see people talk about it and I kind of just shrivel in the conversation. And realizing that gave me clarity to keep this script going.
I don't know why you said that. I still don't know where we're going with this.
God damn it, read the sticky note.
Okay, I see. All right, now it all makes sense. Now I see.
Normative social influence often causes us to feel, think, and act in ways that are consistent with social norms, standards, and conventions. If everyone is in a line, you're gonna line up. If everyone at dinner is drinking a beer, you'll probably grab one too. If something is popular, there is an evolutionary pull to like that thing as well. Because by doing so, you're fitting in and finding social fulfillment. And if the current norm is to be playing Among Us and you hit him with the,
I don't even really want to play Among Us.
What did you just say to me?
not liking a game that the world is obsessed with isn't necessarily always a visceral reaction to keep people from overhyping something. In some ways, it may also be a cry for help because it's more than a game now. It's a social norm that you are falling on the outside of by not buying into. Maybe you're pretending to like it, maybe you just aren't talking about it, but it's because of this that breaking your silence on your thoughts about it is cathartic. It often comes off as a hot take, but it's not necessarily that it's overhyped or that it's popular that bothers you. A lot of your feelings toward it could simply stem from the fact that you feel either left out or tired of pretending just to fit the norm. And maybe I'm reaching, maybe it's not that complicated, maybe you simply don't care to play the game or you've played it, but think another game deserves the kind of attention this one is getting. And we can all relate to that, right? A lot of you, when I asked about this, were really pumped when some of your favorite games or even some of your favorite developers got their flowers. Just as long as it's not too many flowers. Kojima, hogging the last 12 minutes of the PlayStation Direct, or getting more time on stage at the Game Awards than several of the award winners combined. You see how there's a line? You see how popularity is a double-edged sword? I want to tell you about a study that I find hilarious, but it'll make more sense if I first tell you that deep in the far reaches of space, there are billions of molecular clouds resting quietly. And because they are cold, this causes gas to clump, creating high-density pockets. Now, some of these clumps can collide with each other or collect more matter, strengthening their gravitational force as their mass continually grows. Eventually, gravity causes some of these clumps to collapse, and when this happens, friction heats the material until it ignites. This is how stars are born. I will now tell you how toxic communities are born. A 2009 study took undergraduates and split them in two groups, as you do. Both were presented with several abstract pieces of art created by students at their university and a rival one. Some of the pieces were presented multiple times to see if the mere exposure effect showed up, and it did. When the students saw the art more often, they afterwards reported liking it more. At least, this was true for the control group. In the experimental group, the students were first told, "We have collated feedback from both Birmingham and Aston students. So far, in testing Aston students, they have been giving low ratings for art created by University of Birmingham students. You hear that? They think your shit is mid. They think you're mid, you fucking marsupial." I added those last three sentences, but I think that's how the students took it because the mere exposure effect was completely reversed for this group. The more they saw the art from the rival school, the more they disliked it. It's like when you have to watch Patrick Mahomes already hating his guts, and then you hate him even more when as soon as the game cuts to commercial, he immediately shows up in an insurance ad. This is what's known as Intergroup Threat, and as you can see, it has a deeply reversing effect on mere exposure. And this might contribute to a lot of toxicity between fan bases. It may not be about fitting in or overexposure, it might be the idea of constantly being reminded of a group of people that make your teeth itch. Throw in a little bit of the Baader-Meinhof phenomena, which is that thing that happens when you suddenly start to see something everywhere after you take any sort of interest in it, like when you think about buying a blue Honda Civic and suddenly the world is full of blue Honda Civics and what the hell is happening to me? Yeah, the internet tends to amplify your feelings towards things positively or negatively. It makes it harder to just not have an opinion. And I think that's the core behind all of this, and what I hope you get out of all my rambling today, that the internet does not leave things untouched. I saw a ton of your comments about games that you still like, but aren't really the same now that they are so gargantuanly popular. Minecraft, Fortnite, League of Legends, there are so many games that, when you found them, were this lush, hidden vista, a place that you could call yours and simply chill out and do your thing. But once you thrust one of these titles into the mainstream and inject a massive new player base into it, suddenly that hidden vista becomes a bustling resort overrun with tourists. Servers are different. The developers have new people to cater to. The meta changes. What was once your home becomes an engine to pump out content, and your little slice of heaven is never quite the same again. This video has, admittedly, been all over the place. I was extremely ill when I wrote this, and this is the final video in this trilogy about how the internet influences our enjoyment of media. Thank God, I did not enjoy writing these for some reason. I want to make more like this. However, those take time to brew. But despite how chaotically this video was written, I think I'm onto something important, and I hope I maybe illustrated that well enough for you to gain something out of this. I hope that all this research was useful to you. If you are the friend at the beginning, maybe this helped you understand a little bit more about yourself. If this is your friend, maybe now you understand where they're coming from. If a game isn't for you, be honest about that. If you're against trying it simply because it's popular, maybe just shut the world out and pretend that you found it on your own. Then decide. The internet is a catalyst for opinions. It will pump every ounce of whiskey, nitrous, and gunpowder into any morsel of a thought that is posted there, and it makes it impossible for things to just be fine. Sometimes fine is fine. Sometimes fine is good. Sometimes fine is just right for you. So unplug and go plug in. Hello, and welcome to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, I'm shocked but grateful. I cannot tell if this is a good video because I need sleep. As always, if you like what I'm doing here and want to support the show, subscribing, leaving a like, and commenting if you have a friend that hates when things get popular will really go a long way in helping the show. And if you feel like dropping $1 a month on me over on Patreon, I make all kinds of bonus content, and you can get your name here in the credits. You might even get mentioned like this month's featured patrons. Phoenix, The Guy, Jan Cover, Mortified Victim, Vanya Pejovic, Nick Williford, Brent Sachs, and Zane Muddyman. Thanks so much for watching, take care, and please have yourself a damn good one.
The lamp felt significant. A tool for bringing light to the darkness.